Don Sweeney and the Boston Bruins have made waves starting to talk about a contract extension with Jim Montgomery. I'm going to be talking about how this has major implications for what we'll see with a future Bruins team, as well as the Bruins' top prospect is full go after suffering a nasty injury which required surgery in the offseason. So before we get into all of this news here, we know 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join me here on the channel as we cover everything Boston Bruins related. I'll be keeping you up to date with everything that this team has to offer, including the much and very long-awaited Jeremy Swayman contract extension, which we could be coming sooner rather than later. But without any further ado, let's get into our first topic here of the video, which is obviously a big Jim Montgomery extension. Could be incoming, was what it sounds like from Don Sweeney, which he said today in his lunchtime media interview at the start of training camp. So I'll pull up our first screenshot here, kind of going over what we have, kind of how we found this out from Connor Ryan, with Don Sweeney saying that there's been talks of an extension with Jim Montgomery. And Don Sweeney's been pretty hush-hush lately on any contract negotiation, whether it is Jim Montgomery, whether it is obviously Jeremy Swayman, which I mentioned in yesterday's video, that really haven't heard much about him, especially in this same interview. And talks could be closer than we think. And obviously, I'm sure Don Sweeney knows that you don't want to spoil too much. You don't want to put too much out there in the world, especially with contract negotiations, what's going on and stuff. But he's also a professional, and, you don't really put those contract things out there. So talks could mean we're a lot further than we think. But as for Jim Montgomery, and as for his record with the Bruins, he's had a pretty good time with the Bruins. And obviously, we haven't gotten to the result we wanted to, which is obviously a Stanley Cup. But with the record that we're seeing from his Bruins tenure, having a 164 games, 112 and 32 record, and 20 overtime losses, obviously that's a very good record. And this is not a guy you'd let walk. Now, we kind of seen that with Bruce Cassidy. He left on a high, which was, well, I shouldn't say a high record, very good record overall in his tenure. And we've seen what happened there. And the result of that, what came out, is that they needed a change of voice, a change of scenery in the locker room. And the voice just kind of got stale. But we're not at that point yet with Jim Montgomery, and we're not going to be at that point for a long time, I suspect. With the changing roster every season, the big changes from guys who are coming over from top teams, top talent, and younger guys coming in, this voice may seem the same to many, but overall it will ultimately be a brand new voice, and especially for these new guys coming in, you have to kind of give them that chance, give them that time with Jim Montgomery, who has really been a successful coach, a coach who really, really cares about his team, wants his players to do well. And as you can see here from a few of these videos that you'll see here, Jim Montgomery is an absolute dog on the benches. That's a good way of putting it. Although many people may not seem like they want him back, they don't want to see his tenure continue, you can't kind of let go of a guy like Jim Montgomery, someone who's been ever so consistent with the Bruins and ultimately hasn't had the whole best possible team yet, and that's very hard to do. It's obviously not every day you get a Tampa Bay Lightning team, a Colorado Avalanche-like team, but we're getting to that point now where the Bruins are solidifying a roster that is going to be very competitive, more than what we've seen over the past few seasons, and this team is only getting better and better and better, and Jim Montgomery is going to really show this team the perfect route to get to a deeper playoff run. And adding the players they have this offseason and over the past few seasons, as I mentioned, it's going to just grow this team and hopefully get them to a point which Jim Montgomery still has to head this team. And I'm very confident about what he has to bring to a Boston Bruins roster, which is getting ever better. But this is what he had to say about these negotiations here. And he says, "I love being a Bruin. My focus when I am with the Boston Bruins is staying in the present and getting better every day." And of course he's going to say that, obviously it's a good quote to say, but for Jim Montgomery having this conversation, saying that he's trying to get better every day and the present is the big thing. You don't want to focus on the past where you've had a few early playoff exits, and obviously last season beating the Toronto Maple Leafs was definitely a high, but there still is an ultimate better goal that you want to get to, and the fact that Jim Montgomery isn't focusing too much on this, isn't focusing on the past and kind of discussing what we've seen over the past few seasons is another big part about why the Bruins want to keep him on this roster and have him stay with this team for ultimately, hopefully, a long time. So let me know what you think about these ongoing negotiations. And of course, it's very early still. We're not going to have any term, price, and whatnot yet. But having this negotiation ongoing with Jeremy Swayman is obviously a big thing. So make sure to stick around find out what comes of this with the channel. But like I said, let me know what you think. It's obviously a very big one. But move on to our second topic here of this video, which is Bruins prospect is full go for this upcoming season, and a long-awaited return for Matthew Poitras, the #1 overall prospect for the Boston Bruins, is set to be ready to go for everything this next upcoming season, including training camp. So this is what we have here from Connor Ryan. Sweeney says that Matthew Poitras is full go after undergoing shoulder surgery in February. Expects him to play both center and wing during camp, which is a very interesting way to have him going as a winger as well, which was previously not really thought of too much. We kind of focused on him being a center, but now with the addition of Elias Lindholm, not having to kind of rush Poitras into this higher level forward right now, the wing is definitely another option as well. And as sure as many of you know, we have this open winger spot on that second line, and maybe Poitras could sneak his way in there if the centers are going well, especially with Johnny Beecher, Charlie Coyle, Elias Lindholm. We have Zacha, who can play center as well, and Trent Frederic, and numerous names here. I'm excited to see what does happen with Poitras and what we do see from the standpoint of where he's going to play. Very happy to see that he's healthy, of course, but the shoulder surgery is something that you're going to have to be hesitant of. He didn't play much of last season, which led from this shoulder surgery, the pretty brutal injury, what we've seen originally as well. But having him full back now, having him open to play wing and center, this is just going to give Poitras another major boost back to get ready, give him the availability of playing wherever he needs to, wherever he really feels comfortable, and ultimately the goal of where he plays best, because we know if he can play many different positions on the forward side of things, you don't have to play your primary position, your necessary position. Wherever you fit is going to be where you go, and especially for this Bruins team, which has the availability of having many players play many different positions, a luxury that many other teams don't have really. This is going to be a fun year for Matthew Poitras and ultimately the line combinations that he's going to have. But it's very good to see that he is back fully healthy, fully ready to go on this lineup and see where he can do. So that is another position filled, and that injury is still going to be in the back of his mind. But the fact that he was out all last season, or I should say pretty much all of last season, all the offseason, fully healed up now, this should be a really full-blown season for Matthew Poitras. So pulling up these lines once again, I should say, the second line winger could be a certain possibility with Charlie Coyle, Brad Marchand, but I want to know what you guys think where he should play. It's definitely probably a favored center, but the wing is certainly an option if that we don't see another signing or we don't see Tyler Johnson on this team next season. Wherever they decide to go with this second line winger, this could be an option, Matthew Poitras, but I really want to know what you guys think, because there are certain options which will be favored. And of course, we have to wait until all of training camp to see if the center or if the wing is a viable position for him, if that's a favored position, if he plays well and who his line mates are and whatnot. And even if Justin Brazeau, who I haven't mentioned too much yet this training camp, does have a very good camp, and maybe he can move up to a second line wing along with Coyle and Brad Marchand. But still, lots of training camp left to go before we figure all this out. No need to rush any decisions, but like I said, let me know what you think about all of this news here. Where do you think that we should see Matthew Poitras play? Third line center, maybe second line center, second line wing, and what do you think about the Jim Montgomery contract extension that could be inbound at soon any point, whenever it comes, lots of time. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button. We're very close to 4K, and if we could hit that before the start of the regular season, that would be absolutely unreal. But that's all I got in this video. As I mentioned, that I'm signing out. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.